Weirdest way you have ever met a boyfriend girlfriend? This is one of my all-time favorite life stories. I was 17 at a soccer game at a park in my hometown and it got rained out. It was very heavy rain. Everyone was leaving with rides or cars and I didn't have one, so I ran under one of those shelters at bigger public parks. She was standing under it too, calling for a ride. I was 17. She was 19. We ended up talking, laughing, and goofing off. I started to kind of show off and go out in the rain, and then I noticed a football. I picked it up and said, "Betcha can't tackle me." And what do you know? She jumps off the wooden picnic table and chases me all over this muddy soccer field. We then fall into a particularly wet and muddy puddle forming in the field. Instead of getting up, we ended up full on muddle wrestling. Fully clothed, soaked in mud, like body slams, tackling, grappling, all in good fun of course. So then, my friend with a truck was the first one there to get either of us, so she came with us. We went to a Dairy Queen, pulled out a hose we saw attached to the side of the building and hosed each other off right there in the parking lot. As concerned adults were like, the frick to this day. Several girlfriends later, she is still the most beautiful, funny and free-spirited person I've ever met. Saw her walking into a bathroom. She was absolutely stunning. So without thinking, I asked a girl who was walking into the bathroom to get her to come out so I could talk to her. Definitely weird, but we were able to laugh about it. You must be attractive. This would never, ever work if she comes out of the bathroom to behold a fat neckbird. In high school, my girlfriend at the time called me from a phone she found in the girls' bathroom. She texted me all day using it. It was a Metro PCS phone and had a free plan anyway. Later that day, the person who lost it got a new phone and their number transferred, so I was texting a complete stranger. I quickly realized it, but we became pretty good friends. After my girlfriend cheated on me, I started dating the girl who I met through the lost phone. But you shouldn't date thieves. They have poor moral compasses. Had a crush on a girl freshman year who I'd always pass. She was in my dorm. And check out, she seemed like she might have either been really shy or shared mutual feelings, as she would look away and sometimes smile every time I would look at her. One night after this had gone on for a month or so, and I had already begun making plans to find out who this girl was, I was playing some video game alone in my room. Might have been Demon's Souls like a boss. And I hear someone come in and plop themselves on my bed. It was this girl, my crush, who had apparently drank a bit to get up the courage to come in my room and start talking to me. We ended up going out together that night with immediate chemistry, hooking up, and starting one of the longest, most complicated relationships I've ever had. Don't know if that's exactly weird, but I am fond of the story. Playing video games alone in my room, check. Step 1 complete. And now we play the waiting game. Wait, I don't get it. You are both gay, but so extremely gay that you looped all the way around the gayness back to straight again. Is that the gist? I think it's more, she likes girls, and he looks like a girl but has a penis. He likes guys, and she looks like a guy but has a vagina. It all started with a poke. I found it amusing that you could poke someone that you aren't friends with on Facebook. So I decided to have some fun and creep out some people I've never met before. One person I poked happened to be a girl that my friend goes to school with. After she realized that she had no clue who I was, she messaged me and I told her that I saw her on my friend's Facebook and I just wanted to creep someone out. A few years later, it turns out we have a ton in common and she's the greatest thing that has happened in my life so far. I can't beat that. Congrats, but our story is kind of cute. I responded in desperation to a series of ridiculous Craigslist ads for a new roommate, seeking alpha male, twins, etc. for the house of fine gentlemen. I didn't know what to expect, but I went to meet the future housemates. Apparently, the ads were made to be ridiculous in order to attract a housemate with a similar sense of humor. Immediately, I felt this fiery and reciprocal connection with the guy who answered the door. I filled out a sort of questionnaire which was full of talking points. We had a drink, did the house tour and talked with the other housemate and another candidate for like 2 hours. The place was great, totally affordable, and across the street from my school work. They picked me and I moved in 2 weeks later. The crush and I stayed in touch to arrange the moving day, and when I moved in, I was freaking out a bit because I realized that the crush was only getting worse. I wondered if I had made a huge mistake. Luckily, he worked 16-hour days every day and wasn't around too much in the evenings. I thought this would make the situation bearable, but I felt really bad for him. He was always exhausted, and since I was studying Marxist theory at the time, in one of our conversations on moving day I recommended he check out a bit of Capital or the Communist Manifesto. The next day, the second day of my living there, he came home from work at 5 p.m. I saw him sitting on the couch looking like he really needed to talk. Turns out that he listened to Marx on audiobook at work, got overwhelmed, realized that he was horribly overworked and made the decision to leave early that day. On the third day, he kissed me. We've since moved out together and are engaged, with a child on the way. He's home by 6 most nights. Nice try, Danielle Steele. I studied abroad in Morocco and met a beautiful Arab woman in the hotel I was staying at. She was reading the paper in the lounge, and if I was in the US I would have approached her, but being sensitive to the culture, I did not. The next day, I found out she was the cultural director Arabic professor of my study abroad program. We would talk on trips and in the classroom, flirt harmlessly, etc. After about a month, she quit her job to work at another program. Long story short, a week after she quit her job she started coming onto me. We had sex about a week after that, and dated for a couple months. Woo, Morocco. I'm Moroccan. I get excited when that country is mentioned. I met my wife in a mental hospital. We both were there for depression but still. I love her to death though. Crap, that sounded nuts. LOL. I have a friend who was in rehab for anorexia bulimia and met her now boyfriend of 2 years there, who was also recovering from anorexia. They are now healthy and in a happy relationship. Sounds nuts as well, but it doesn't really matter where you met as long as you're happy. My 18-year-old curious French cousin came to visit me in Japan 5 or so years ago. I was the only one knowing. We were really close, even from a continent away, and I knew she'd had no chance to experiment with girls yet, what with living in the sticks and all. So, with her agreement, I looked on Mixi, the local FB, for a girl who'd be interested in meeting her when she came to Japan, and I soon found a nice college student who was really game. I made them meet, was their interpreter during the days they were together, and great fun was had by all during the whole process. They slept together. The Japanese chick loved it. My cousin realized that she was straight after all. Anyway, after she went back to France, I met the Japanese girl again, and of course we dated too. She was completely crazy, and not only in fun ways, though there were some interesting sides too. And it didn't last long, but still it's a fond memory. My cousin was deeply amused by the whole situation. BTW. Man, I was expecting a different kind of story after reading the first sentence. I have said this story before on Reddit, so I will toss my penny into this well again. At a college house party we were having, my last name is Stone. Her last name is Flynn. Her. How much for a cup? Me. $5. Her. But I am a girl. Me. $7. Her. You know, if we got married we could be the Flintstones. Me. You do realize it's the Flintstones, right? Her. Well, yay. Duh. It was a joke, and since I am so funny, how much for a cup? Me. $10. 5 years later, we are happily married. I met a girl at a small college party. Everyone drank a lot. Somehow she decided it would be a good idea to talk a lot of crap in a playful manner to the effect of wanting to fight. Shots ensued. We stepped outside. I'm 6 feet 2 like 220 at the time. I'm a terrible judge of height but I'd give her 5 feet 5. I thought she was joking. I playfully jabbed her shoulder. She wound up an obscene haymaker and blasted my jaw. She was not joking. I took about 3 more punches in my 151 induced stupor before something in my head said frick it and I turned around and gave her 7 stitches above her left eye. We dated for like 8 months before she decided to become a nun. Moved to the west coast and dropped off the face of the earth. Family, friends, nobody's heard from her. Couldn't make that crap up if I tried. TL. DR. Punched a chick in the face. Was drunk at a friend's New Year's party. His sister-in-law was there, but I was too drunk to care how I acted. I was filthy, disgusting, and an overall drunken mess. That night I slept in a side room that she was in too. I farted, not giving a crap. Then out of nowhere, she says that's it and farts louder than me. We spent the next hour farting and laughing. We started dating a week later. TLDR, I had an 8-month relationship that started with a drunken fart contest. Gross but adorable. Saw an NYC on the subway. Told my homie with me, dang, if I lived here I would be hitting on her right now. Went back to Ohio. Bored one night I was searching MySpace and found the girl from the subway in a picture in front of CBGB's. Told her the story. Realized I'm searching within 10 miles on MySpace. She lives on the same block. Married her. Dang homie. So you are a gay man who dresses and looks like a woman in a relationship with a straight woman who is sometimes mentally a gay man? That's actually pretty awesome. In several years Adam Sandler will play every character in this movie. Nothing as interesting as OP for sure, but hear my little story. Bunch of years ago, I was 16 and was attending a rather larger party in an industrial complex. Friend of mine hooked me up with this girl I've never met before, and due part alcohol and hormones we started making out quite quickly. Being one of my first maquillades I was quite ecstatic, which could explain why I didn't react to that feeling in my stomach. Yeah, I puked on her, and in her mouth. We were kissing, remember? As most people would do, I profoundly apologized, helped her clean up a little and then walked away mortified and thinking, well, first girl who kisses me and I puke in her. I am a retard. I tried to party on but felt bad so went home. 2 days later she calls me up and wonders if I wanted to hang out. She had asked around and gotten my phone number from the same friend who introduced us. We hooked up and was a couple for a couple of weeks until I noticed she was a tad weird. I guess the whole puke in mouth thing should have tipped me off, but whatever. All in all, it's nice for a 16-year-old insecure boy to get a girl, even for a few weeks. I was on my last jump of the season, 17th overall. I'm addicted to skydiving. I should have choose cigarettes. It would have been cheaper. It was her first solo jump. After only a few seconds I can tell she is having some issues, so I try to slow down so she can catch up with me. I can't find her cord, so we grab onto each other as tight as we can and I pull my cord. I know the automatic altitude triggered chute probably would have fired, but who knows. After the incident I made her buy me lunch for potentially saving her life. At least this is what I tell my 79-year-old grandmother, who wouldn't understand that we actually met on Match.com. Reading this I feel like I feel when I get belated. I was 12 years old, 1996, hanging out in a Yahoo Checkers chat room. Met a girl and played lots of checkers. Long story short, we kept in contact here and there and she flew in from FL to attend a banquet with me in 2006. All my buddies affectionately nicknamed her Checkers. Ha Checkers. I like that because I'm drunk. I'm sure this happens a lot these days. My BF and I are both a few years out of undergrad. After meeting and chatting on OkCupid for a while and really hitting it off, we realized we not only went to the same college for the exact same period of time, but we also had the same major, a few of the same classes, and a handful of mutual friends on FB, ran in the same social circles for a while. Oops. You spelled win like oops. One time I went to a club with two buddies of mine. We got there at around 11 o'clock and I had a drink. He then offers me a strong benzo, similar to Xanax, but stronger. I never tried it before so I took one. A few minutes later I ran into an acquaintance which was with an insanely hot girl. No bulls. She was the sexiest girl in the place. I was introduced to her. Her name was Claudia. After about 30 minutes, I don't feel anything so I ask my friend for another benzo. At this point it is still early in the night, probably around 11:45. Main DJ doesn't come on till 1 o'clock. Next thing I know, I'm waking up comfortably in my bed. I glance at the clock. It's 3 p.m. I look outside the window. My car isn't there. I have no wallet or cell phone. Eventually, I contact my friend who I was with. He brings my car back and explains that we were at the club partying until 4 a.m. then went to a diner. At the diner, apparently I passed out and brought the whole table, including utensils and food, down with me. Anyways, I told him that I was peeved that I didn't hit on that girl. At around 6 o'clock I get a call on my cell phone. The name that comes up was CL23PJ. It was Claudia. I suspect the CL23PJ was me trying to type Claudia in my drunken state. Anyways, we dated for a while and it was awesome. TLDR. Met a hot girl while blacked out. She became my girlfriend. The name that comes up was CL23PJ. I suspect the CL23PJ was me trying to type Claudia in my drunken state. Actually, you dated an android. And while you were bonkers when she told you she was an android, she still told you, therefore leaving all the robot rules unbroken. I met my first girlfriend at church. She wasn't even of the same religion as me, but someone had mentioned there was a cute boy and she came to see me several altar times. It lasted about 6 weeks. I was only 12. Oh, did I mention I was an altar boy? Yep, she came to church to watch me on the altar. Bizarre. Someone posted a girl's phone number along with a nude picture on 4chan. I told her about it thinking that we wouldn't start talking. We did and she seemed cool, so we went out for a while. Needless to say, that didn't go well. She had 3 other boyfriends at the same time while we went out. When I was in the army, I told one of my army buddies, who was getting a lot of mail from his GF smelling oh so sweet, that I wished I could get some mail like that. A couple of days later he gave me the email to his GFS roommate. We talked for 7 months over the phone and email Skype. When I finally came home I flew her out to the army base where I was at for us to finally meet face to face. That was in 2007 and I have since got out of the army and moved back to NY and attending university. She moved up here shortly after I got out and now lives only 5 blocks away and we have been together happily for 4 years. I plan on buying an engagement ring with my college graduation money. Some people get money for graduating college instead of owing hundreds of thousands of dollars. I was walking in the Lower East Side of Manhattan a bit tipsy and 2 girls with accents walked up to me and asked where a certain club was. Me. Don't know. Why? Are you meeting someone there? Them. No. We just heard it's fun. Me. Well, why don't you just come with me? I'm meeting up with some friends. They decided to join me. Me and my brother ended up hooking up with one of them each in a hotel room about a week later. Lasted about another week before I realized she was freaking insane. TLDR. Picked up a girl on a sidewalk. Pro. Not quite as crazy in the same sense as yours. OP. PS. It was a very enjoyable story, but here goes. I was going through a breakup with my previous girlfriend at the time. Pretty much. One Friday morning, we ended it after 4 years. That next Saturday a friend and I decided to go make some bad decisions and go to Brazilian techno night at a dance club in NYC. We got some alcohol and some other not so licit substances and got ready to go when randomly a friend texted me asking me what I was up to because her and her friend were bored and looking for something to do. We invited them along, not expecting them to actually come because I figured she was more in the mindset of grab some food than snort at a nightclub. But they came anyway, much to my surprise. All in all, it was a very good night. Lots of Brazilian strippers in showers. My male friend and I ended up dancing a lot with my lady friend and her friend. And we ended up calling it a night at about 6 AM after the club and a run to a diner. I mostly ended up dancing with my lady friend's friend, the one who would become my girlfriend, and we kinda hit it off. The next day, my lady friend and her friend want to hang out again, so my male friend and I propose something more ridiculous. The skankiest, dirtiest full nudity strip club in New Jersey. Also, this was the Sunday night crowd at the club. This was shortly after New Year's, so to make things better we wore all our New Year's regalia that wasn't thrown out yet. To make things better, we decided we would be speaking in terrible British accents and pretend that we were from England and flew into New York to visit friends for the new year and simply have been drunk for the past 6 or 7 days with no recollection of where we are in America and how we got there, still believing that it's New Year's. The strippers ended up being very interested in us. What do we sound like to you is a question we got a lot. and the other patrons continually bought us beer all night to show us what American beer is like. The girls went along with this whole thing, and the strippers were impressed that we somehow got American girlfriends during our short time in the country. After 2 nights of this kind of debauchery, I decided that my lady friend's friend was really something special to have gone along with all of this. Plus she was really cute. I got to know her better, and now, 2 years later, things have calmed down a bit and gone back to normality, and in my head I know she is the one I'm gonna marry, but SHHH. Don't tell her yet. I met my ex when I went to the dentist and she was my dental assistant. I was flirting with her but I didn't think anything of it because she was 23 and I was 19. Plus she was my dental assistant. Anyways, I went home and later that night she added me as a friend on Facebook and sent me a message. I was too dumb to realize she liked me from her message, but my older brother realized it, so he proceeded to sit on me while he messaged her for me because I really didn't want him to message her. Then after that we started talking, then dated for a while. Yay. I should have stopped him from sending that message. Now I met my current girlfriend at a party. I didn't think I had a chance because a guy was trying to make moves on her all night, but I still kept trying. I realized I had her when I told her I was leaving and she leaned in to kiss me. The other guy just walked away. Your brother is awesome. I told my current girlfriend that she was a bad dancer and then proceeded to do the sprinkler with her to deflect some of the attention that her dancing was drawing. It has worked out well so far. You're living the dream. OP. Or maybe it's just my dream. Whatever. I'd be jealous. But instead I'm just happy to hear such pairings actually do happen in real life. Congrats bro, cisgender neutral familial noun. I dunno if this beats it. I highly doubt anyone can top up story, but back when I was 19 I was a regular in a Yahoo chatroom. I met a boy there the same age and we connected. A year later we enter into a long distance relationship and everything is going well. We send pictures and talk on the phone and make plans to visit. One day I receive a call from what sounds like an older woman. She asked me who I am and where I live. I was confused and didn't want to answer until she told me she was the mother of her 16-year-old daughter. The same boy I was in a relationship with for over a year. Needless to say I ended the relationship later that night when she called. I told her I was not a lesbian or a pedophile and that she was seriously messed up. I was also really heartbroken because I had grown really attached to the person I thought she was. Fast forward 2 years later and I receive a call from her. Things were going really well in my life, so I decided to forgive her for being a crazy, mixed up teen. We talk on the phone often and soon old emotions start to surface. 2 years later we move in together and she confesses she feels more like a man than a woman. I already knew this. She sounds like a male. She dresses like one. She wrapped her breast. It wasn't news to me, but I was very supportive and we looked at procedures for sex changes. I truly loved her, but due to the fact that she continued to lie and couldn't keep a job we had to separate. I am now very happy living with my boyfriend and we are expecting our first child. It's just funny how things turn out. TL. DR. Straight girl meets boy that turns out to be girl, and straight girl then turns gay, then turns straight and gets knocked up. Well, this wasn't weird, I suppose. Certainly not as weird as WTF boobies, but it's the best I have. I was introduced to a girl in college and spent most of our first few conversations advising her to be more forgiving and understanding of her boyfriend. A week or two later, she invited me to bed a few hours after mentioning that she'd dumped him. Out of the office. Me. I used to work at a record store and got free tickets to see the Yeahs at a local club. Went to the show, it was cool, and went back to work the next day. No big deal except for the cute girl came into the store and bought a Yeahs CD as she had been at the show the night before. We chatted for probably 30 minutes about music, our interests, life, etc. I was ridiculously interested in her and had an inkling that the feeling was mutual, but because I was like 22 years old and a total P, I didn't pull the trigger. She left. I was really P with myself for being a weenie and not asking her out. Fast forward 2 years. I had quit the record store job, moved halfway across the country, dated another chick, broke up with her, and moved back to where I had moved from. I posted a M4F ad on Craigslist mostly as a joke but probably more out of desperation. A really cute girl responded. We hit it off immediately and went from zero to dating in about 3 hours. 2 weeks or so into the relationship, I happened to talk about the free tickets I had to the Years show a couple of years earlier that I had gotten through my old job at the record store. She said, I went to that show too. Wait, you work there? I was like, yeah. She was like, dude, you and I met before. At the store. After the show. We talked about it for a while, remembered all of the details, admitted our huge crush on each other, made out, had sex, and it was awesome. Awesome. Too bad we broke up about 4 years later because we were both jerks and did a lot of dumb crap to each other out of carelessness and selfishness. I miss the heck out of that girl and wish I could have her back, but alas, it's too far gone now. The end. Met my ex at a Halloween party when I was 16. My friend passed her off to me and the Sex Panther in me finally emerged, I guess. I was just an awkward nerdy boy before that. We were just laying down on the floor for half the night talking. She let me lay my head on her breasts. End of the night comes and I get a goodnight kiss and some grab arsing ensued. I felt like $1,000,000. We dated for about 3 months. She opened up my world to all sorts of fun. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.